Tony, yes, that D'Antoni just led the Houston Rockets. This is awesome. I love this. You don't see this in the NBA, but we're going to let our guy Steve Nash just be the creator of good vibes. I saw that somewhere on Twitter. This is awesome, Nick.
Good vibes. I love it.
Hey, RG3 gets a start tonight. You want somebody to root for RG3. He came on our show a few months ago, shouted Nick out, said, hey, my guy Nick, got a question for you. Why are you taking shots at me all the time? And Nick's like, oh, dude, I wasn't taking shots at you. I'm sorry. I think you got the skills to be a starter. I'm rooting for you. Well, so is your old buddy Kevin Wildes. You beat the Steelers in Week 17. You got a chance to beat them again. Could be your signature win if you really have a heck of a game. Open up the playbook. You're going to have 9 starters missing. Throw the ball around. Do something un-Ravens-like. Try to get RG3 a nice resume builder. Yeah. Hopefully he can get another job starting, just like Nick Foles. Draft class better than Nick Foles.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Joakim Noah kind of here. So here's the deal. Everything Wildes just told you is... Well, wait a moment. Everything Wildes just told you is correct about RG3 and he and my tortured history, which is why it would have been perfect for me to talk about RG3 and 4 things first. But Wildes jumped on that corner, so I'm jumping on his Joakim Noah corner. Joakim Noah, 2-time champion of Florida, Defensive Player of the Year 1 year, finished top 5 in the MVP 1 season. People forget these things. His career's now over, and I want to be the first person on this show to tell him what a great career it was. Always been a big fan of yours, Joakim. I've supported you while others have attacked you. Congrats on a career well done from Florida all the way to the end of your career. Now, technically, Wildes should be saying this, and I should be doing the RG3 thing, but he jumped on my corner, so I'm jumping on his.
Darn it.
No, you did it. You did this.
Later in the show,
you did this.
Guys, it has been a very, very interesting offseason for Kelly Oubre. Right, he went from Phoenix, then to the Thunder, then to the Warriors. But even more interesting than that, he got engaged. Not that he got engaged, but how he got engaged. In a way only my grandma would love. Old school TV, old school QVC ad, showing the ring. I love this so much. It reminded me so much of watching TV with my grandma as a kid. Remember juggling the antenna to get a signal, putting it on and off with a pencil, banging the sides just to get it to work. We used to watch Love Boat, Partridge Family, 8 is Enough, you name it. Kelly Oubre, I couldn't love you more for doing it this way. I wish I thought about it. I wish you love, peace, happiness, and success in your marriage and your future with the Golden State Warriors. Nice, I loved it.
When I was...
All right, see, I do have some nice in me. Let us now take a turn. We're going to head to Philly, where the Eagles are wondering the same thing. We are all wondering what's happened to Carson Wentz, only a few years removed from that incredible 2017 season cut short by injury, all downhill since. And that is only good if you're a skier. We are now hearing Wentz was reportedly not thrilled when the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts. That on top of another report, Wentz is, quote, trying to do too much. All right, Brandon, let me start with you. What do you make of the report that Wentz wasn't thrilled that the Eagles drafted her?
I get it. You know, any other position, no big deal. Why you bring in a wide receiver in free agency, you draft a guy first round, second round, not a big deal. Going back to Denver days, we draft Eddie Rowe in the second round after I'm coming off a 100-catch season. Not a big deal. Offensive line, not a big deal. Linebacker, not a big deal. But the quarterback position, it's a big deal. We opened up the show talking about Aaron Rodgers. You draft a quarterback in the first round, you draft a quarterback in the second round, that's a big deal. Philadelphia is getting everything that they asked for right now. You got a guy on the bench. When the guy's on the field struggling and this guy's on the bench, what do you think people are going to say? Oh, well, when are you going to put him in? When are you going to put Jalen Hurts in? It's a problem. It sets up your entire organization up for failure. A kid is struggling. He was struggling last year. There's a lot of people in the organization or that used to be in the organization. Just like, well, why didn't we have this conversation last year? Did you watch our games and how we lost our games and how we played? Did we have an offensive line then? Did we have wide receivers then? You know, so when you look at this situation, I can understand what Wentz is feeling, but at the same time, Wentz has to play better. You know, there's a couple quarterbacks, you insert them in any situation, they make everybody around them better. They just have to figure it out. But I definitely get why he feels this way.
Yeah, I understand why he might be somewhat emotionally bothered by it, but hey, man, it's your job. Any job, but this pro sports. Buck up. Like, enough. And enough with the Carson Wentz. At some point, Carson Wentz being statistically the worst quarterback in football this year has to be, at least in some part, about Carson Wentz. His biggest issue is not that his feelings were hurt back in April. His biggest issue is he takes bad plays and turns them into disasters. This is the problem with him. There are plays that, because of bad offensive line play or because receivers can't get open, should just be regular sacks or throwaways, and they turn into turnovers. And I think in part that's because the 1 year he was excellent, where he was excellent was in turning those bad plays into great plays. These high variance, low probability, third and long, not brush off the pass rush, roll out, throw a strike across your body. That's how he had that magical season in 2017. But that does appear to be an outlier at this point. And I get it. He is not in a perfect situation. Far from it. There are other players on that team that have not played well at all, and they've dealt with injuries once again. Seems like they've been one of the most injured teams post-Super Bowl of any team in the league over the last 3 years. But he's got to avoid the disastrous play, and he has been unable to do that. And I don't think, Wildes, that's because they drafted Jalen Hurts a few months ago.
I love it. Now it's Jalen Hurts' fault. In the words of Don Draper, Carson Wentz, that's what the money's for. Your agent did a wonderful, wonderful job. Wonderful job. Because now you are statistically the worst quarterback, and guess what? Still got your job. They can't cut you. They're going to be on the hook for $60 million. So you have the ultimate guarantee. And just for all the kids out there, if you're just going into your senior year in college and you think, oh, you know what? I need to make a lot of money. You don't. Doesn't buy you happiness, because this dude's got $109 million guaranteed. And he's still like, oh, woe is me. They drafted Jalen Hurts. Like, if you can't be confident after signing a $109 million deal, I don't know what to say about you.
Not the only one taking the heat for this season's mess. Head coach Doug Peterson deserves a lot of it as well. His press conferences have turned into must-see TV. His answers are all head-scratchers. It begs the question, could Doug Peterson actually be on his way out if the Eagles don't come back and win this watered-down NFC East? Brandon, would you keep Doug Peterson as head coach next season in Philly?
I would, but he'll be on a tight leash. Look, Doug Peterson turned this thing around, took over for Chip Kelly. But this reminds me a lot of my Denver days. You have Mike Shanahan won 2 Super Bowls, but we didn't. We were a 500 team for a few years in a row. We were underperforming. And it's the National Football League. What does that mean? Not for long. They need it now, and they want to see it today. They don't care what you did in the past. That's why this business and this game is so brutal. So for me, I would give him another year, but this is the type of season, Nick, that everybody should be on notice. Everybody has to look themselves in a mirror, look themselves in the face, whatever the saying is, and figure out what they need to do to turn this thing around, because this is brutal. Doug Peterson, you start off 7-9, then you have this magical run, 13-3, 9-7, 9-7. Now you're sitting here at the tail end of the season with 3 wins. You are showing us that you are an average coach. So what Jeffrey Lurie has to do is look at this thing and say, do I want an average team? You won a Super Bowl. Are you content with that? So it really falls on him deciding how he wants to proceed. But I truly believe, because of COVID-19 and all of the tension around this year, I give him another year. But I don't give him the entire year if it starts off the way this year started off.
So here's the thing. I don't think Doug Peterson deserves to be fired. He's been there 5 years. He's only had 1 awful year. That's this one. He has a record of 41-33. He's 4-2 in the playoffs. He won a Super Bowl 3 years ago. It's been 50 years since there was a coach this shortly removed from winning a Super Bowl that was fired by their team. So all of those are reasons why, in theory, you should keep him. Unfortunately, you have to fire him because you can't fire the quarterback.